Hey, what's going on, team? It's Ricky with Tactical Solutions. Hope that you guys are all having a good end to your Wednesday. One of the things that I wanted to come on here and remind you is that tomorrow we do have the PPI report and the core PPI. This is all released 1 hour before the market opens. I'll leave it up to you guys. I was thinking of hosting the live stream. I know it's a lot very early for us that are in the West Coast. If you guys get this video to over 1,000 likes by the time that the PPI report comes out, which is 1 hour before the market opens, or 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, or 5:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'm going to host that free live stream on YouTube channel, on our YouTube channel. So all you literally have to do is drop a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I'll take care of the rest in making sure that I keep you up to date on how the market will react, or when it does react to the actual PPI report. The only other thing that I want to make sure that you guys are all aware of is the initial claims and continuing claims report that is also released at the same time, and how that can also play a role on how the market can react shortly after. One of the things that I wanted to summarize is, after today's CPI data report, with inflation coming in at 4.9%, a little bit lower than expected, and core CPI coming in at 5.5%, this is 0.1% lower than our previous core CPI. What is the biggest takeaway from this? After reading this article, this was my biggest takeaway, and this is: the report could add to an expectation that the Federal Reserve will pause its rate hiking campaign as soon as its next meeting in June. The reason that this is so important is, remember, the market has been reacting in a negative way since the start of 2022. Why? Well, because inflation was super high, and the Federal Reserve, the only way that they can moderate inflation is by increasing interest rates. So now it is to be expected, right? And this is what the market is factoring in. It is to be expected that because of not just how the economy has been showing that it's been slowing down, but because inflation is now actually lower than 5%, coming in at 4.9%, it could support the case that the Federal Reserve could potentially pause with future rate hikes, or maybe even begin to pivot. Now, the only thing that I do want to share with you when it comes down to that is what Jerome Powell said, who's the head of the Federal Reserve, is that he still thinks that there is a long fight away when it comes down to their actual price target of 2% inflation, and right now sitting at 4.9%. He has said it many times, especially in the last FOMC meeting where he spoke in front of journalists, that he has no intention of actually providing rate cuts as inflation is barely beginning to show signs that it's actually beginning to be under control. And that's just the one thing that I want to remind you is a rate pause, right, versus a rate, cut is a very different thing. I do apologize for stuttering so much there, but overall, again, very different expectation, but nonetheless, it is to be expected that this can really just support the case as soon as June, that the overall Federal Reserve can potentially begin to pause future rate hikes, and then maybe if if the inflation rate continues to go down, then maybe that can support the case of actually providing rate cuts and not just no more rate hikes, right? That would be that big change when it comes down to that. Now, they did ask a couple more, analysts, and someone from JP Morgan said Wednesday that they expect the market to refocus on recent Fed speaks of remaining hawkish despite Fed's data-dependent approach. And again, that's just kind of following up after the FOMC meeting what Jerome Powell said. So again, it sounds very confusing, but it's actually very simple. Today's CPI data report supports the case that inflation is going down, and that it could support the case that the Federal Reserve can potentially, as soon as June, potentially stop any future rate hikes and really just pause. No more rate hikes, but also potentially no more cuts coming in the up and coming months, just making sure that inflation is actually still going down. Now, again, some of you guys might be asking, what is the PPI report that is going to be released tomorrow? This is inflation on the producing side of things. CPI is consumer inflation. Producer price inflation is, again, the inflation on the producing side of things. So it's pretty much tracking if inflation is actually going up or down on the producing side of things, which can forecast future influxes of inflation on the consumer side of things. But again, we're going to cover all of that in tomorrow's live stream. For that PPI report, all you have to do is drop a thumbs up and subscribe. So I'm going to leave it at that. One of the things that I do want to remind you is that this Friday I will be hosting a free live trading session where I'll be giving away $1,000. And we did this last Friday. We gave away $1,000 during that live stream as well. I'm going to be doing it again this Friday. And if you don't want to miss out, again, it is free to save your spot. And that is that first link in the description down below. I appreciate your time. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to send me a direct message via Instagram or via Discord, and that is all linked in the description down below. Appreciate your time. Like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take it easy, team.